Stone, welcome to another delicious episode of the Turning Stones podcast. Geez, already get my mouth pretty dry. That's how excited I am with my nice, trusty Turning Stones mug. Just bear with me.
Nice. It's great, that cup.
Quality right there. Before we get started, let me just obviously introduce my co-host, and that is the Big Sam. How you going, mate?
Yeah, Terry, very well on this fine day. Yourself?
Yeah, can't complain. You know, we're actually recording this on a Friday. Lovely sunshine out there. We're in the studio, mind you, guys. We're actually in the Turning Stone studio together.
Yes.
Obviously, we're not sitting together, just we're trying to keep COVID safe as much as we can.
Yeah.
But today's episode, Sam, big, juicy one, plenty of meat to this bone. I'm pretty sure all the faithful Aussies that love a good punt knows of this particular horse, and we are talking about Black Caviar. Wow, what a horse. Any comments before we get started, Sam?
Yeah, great horse. One of the most successful in history. We'll go through the ins and outs, but very good horse. Not just a delicacy, the Black Caviar, but a champion racehorse.
Absolutely. So just a quick little disclaimer: I'll be eating my lunch while we're recording this, so don't find it disrespectful or anything. It's just I need some sustenance and some energy to give you some good quality audio content as well as the visual, as you can see. So yeah, just don't mind me. And if you're asking what I actually am eating, because I think Sam is pretty curious as to what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Got here broccoli, sweet potato, avocado, tuna, all in a bit of a salad. So, bit of a weird concoction, but it gets the job done. And in terms of the tuna, it's actually in spring water. So
great.
Of course, a bit of salt and pepper on top just to give it that extra seasoning.
Yes.
Alrighty. I think before we also get started, let's just remind everyone about our social medias. Sam, I reckon you can do that.
Yeah, at Turnstones Pod. We're on obviously Instagram. We are on Twitter, and hit us up with any questions, comments, and we'll keep you updated with our latest content. So give us a tag with whatever you want, as long as it's interesting and not boring. Thank you.
And of course, we're on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to our
channel.
channels. How can you forget that, Sam?
Oh, well, is that social media? I don't know. YouTube's a bit different.
Maybe in the comment section of YouTube, you can tell us, is YouTube social media?
Yes.
That's a good question.
It's true.
Might even require another episode. Alrighty, let's get stuck into it, Sam.
Yeah, let's do that.
Just wash that down, shall we?
Jeez, mate. It's going to be a long one.
Oh, yeah. All right, Black Caviar is an undefeated, retired, champion Australian thoroughbred racehorse. She made headlines around the world for her perfect racing record. Now, when we're saying her, it is a female horse.
Yes.
So I think just off the top here, we're going to go through some fun facts and stats about Black Caviar. Then we're just going to get to some nitty gritty and some interesting stories, quotes, and that sort of stuff. So let's get into some fun facts first. Black Caviar, was foaled on the 18th of August 2006. So that's some 15 odd years ago. Wow. Her sex, she was a mare. She weighed approximately 570 kilograms and stood 16.2 hands. It's a weird measurement. Or 168 centimeters tall. So yeah. And I guess, off the top here, we said that she was undefeated. So she's actually undefeated in 25 races, including 15 Group 1 victories. That's actually a world record.
At the time,
of course, it's the key point there at the end. At the time, champion racehorse Winx, as we all know, Winx, is just as famous, or if not more or less, than Black Caviar. So champion racehorse Winx broke Black Caviar's record of the consecutive wins. With 33 in a row. So that's actually phenomenal. We've got here 25, then we've got 33 in a row. However, Winx total record was 37 wins and 3 second places. However, the beauty about Black Caviar, and also the reasoning why we're actually doing today's episode, not ahead of the autumn racing carnival, but also the fact that she's done nothing but come first.
Yeah.
So yeah, good shit. Great shit. Sam, keep going.
Yes. Her location, the location of her wins. We've got a few stats here as well. Victoria, she had 19 wins. New South Wales, 2 wins. South Australia, 2 wins. Queensland, the single victory, and also an international Victory, which is probably one of the most famous, with one. Now, we'll touch on that a bit more later on, and that's a bit of a story behind it in itself. So she had a most starts and wins at Flemington, which is in Victoria, and she was named the WTRR World Champion Sprinter in 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013. So it's a massive achievement. And obviously at the time and at her peak, she was pretty much undefeated, she was undefeated and invincible pretty much.
Basically done the 4-peat there between 10 and 13. 4 years in a row, champion sprinter. Can't go wrong with that. I don't think Usain Bolt's done that, so good on you. Blackie? Or what should we call Black Caviar? What's her nickname?
BC.
Yeah, the old BC. Hello.
She was trained by Melbourne-based trainer Peter Moody, who's pretty famous in the horse racing industry. And apart from her first 2 runs, which Jared Noski rode her, she was ridden by Luke Nolan in all her starts after the first 2, which Luke Nolan, he's a pretty decent jockey, as you'd expect, being on board for that many wins. So,
he knows how to ride, that's for sure.
Crack the whip. Now, total prize money for Black Caviar, very interesting, is $7.9 million. Now, that's that's a decent amount of money. I mean, obviously, a few probably owners involved with that. But yeah, what a number that is.
Yeah, massive. And of course, well, if you're just doing this out of the sake of gambling, any profits you're making on it is a windfall gain. However, if you're in the business of breeding horses or racing horses or owning horses, well, that's unfortunately, it's taxable for you. So tough luck.
Speak to us. Her top recorded speed was 72.14 kilometers an hour. So pretty quick on the straight.
I was going to say Black Caviar could probably actually be, racing or riding or even running on some of the 80-kilometer roads that we have. We have a few old codgers on there that love going more below 70 on an 80-kilometer road, and you got Black Caviar here just doing fast. Just a touch below, bee's dick below the speed limit. So it's good on it. Imagine that. Seeing a horse just like right next to it and you're going 80 and like you just slightly overtake it.
Yeah. Just pips at the post.
Yeah, exactly.
Her longest odds in a maiden race was $3 for the win. So it's pretty short odds for a first up race. But after that, her odds were always below $2. So never started with a 2, always in the dollar ranges. So very interesting. Obviously, very short priced odds. If you know your horse racing, it's a very short price favourite. And obviously to go through that many races and be under $2 favourite. Well, everyone sort of was catching on early that she was a pretty good horse.
Just a quick one, Sam. I was wondering if you reinvested all your winnings from the initial bet in all the races, how much you'd actually end up with, or how much the combined odds would be. Because there'd probably be a few punters maybe after her, 7th or 8th Group 1 just kept backing her.
Yeah,
I wonder if they reinvested all their winnings and they just knew that she was just never going to lose or even never going to do anything but come first.
Yeah, true.
And that's exactly what she did. Good on you, lass.
Stupid bets put on it for sure because, obviously she was showing a lot of form early on, but then again, nothing's a certainty. So she was retired on the 17th of April 2013. And now this is a fun fact for you.
I love fun facts.
Former Aussie Rules football star Dale Thomas, who you may or may not know, he played for Collingwood and then had a little stint at Carlton as well. He had a bet with David Taylor that Black Caviar wouldn't win 20 consecutive races. And of course, as we said, she definitely went ahead and broke that record. Now, Thomas has fulfilled his term of the bet by having an image of Black Caviar tattooed on his backside or on his ass cheek somewhere. So, if you ever see Dale Thomas roaming around the streets, maybe just ask to have a look at his cheek and just to make sure he's actually got that and it wasn't a fake one.
Exactly.
But very interesting, that one. I mean, hey, who would have thought she would have gone on for 20 consecutive races? So he probably thought it was a sure thing and he would be fine. But
I was going to say, Dale Thomas, not a good bloke for making good choices. I mean, he went from Collingwood to Carlton, so it's a bad choice. And then another one, backing the wrong horse or, not backing the right one, shall we say? And I'm just going to squeeze in another fun fact here that we hadn't discussed because Sam and I, like, just a bit of a look behind the curtain. We do a bit of a run sheet, and we do discuss what we want to talk about each episode. So this isn't actually what we discussed. This is just off the top of my head. But this is actually fact as well, and a fun fact. There were actually some races that Black Caviar was racing in, and obviously a lot of the sports betting type companies were actually paying odds without Black Caviar. So, like, because she was such a shoo-in, and her odds were so low, it would be like, who's coming first without Black Caviar in the field? It was almost as if, like, when Gary Ablett was a shoo-in for the Brownlow, it was like markets without Gary in there. There were markets without Black Caviar.
Yeah, so, wow. Jeez, that's an interesting one.
If you had a really good horse, a good sprinter, and you just knew that, look, this is a once-in-a-generation type of horse, they'd never be Black Caviar. Well, I guess coming second to a horse like this who's never done anything but come first, I mean, it's pretty prestigious.
Spot on. Yeah, wow. Very interesting. Another interesting fact, she actually loves swimming and loves going to the beach, from what we have heard. And another...
Like Ian Thorpe, Torpedo.
Yeah, well, probably Torpedo's feet are a bit bigger than Black Caviar's, I think. But yes, anyway.
I don't see Thorpe having, 4 WTR World Championships 4 years in a row as well.
No, he's got a few gold medals, but yeah, that's true. He's no sprinter, that's for sure. So another fun fact as well, not really specifically to Black Caviar, but anyway, horses foaled in Australia have their official birthdays on the 1st of August, which is, it's weird, I guess. Yeah, just chucking their birthdays, all into one day. Anyway, whereas the North Hemisphere actually have their ages advanced by 1 year on the 1st of January. So that discrepancy there led to Black Caviar being officially described as a 6-year-old when she ran in England in 2012.
Yep.
Although she was still a 5-year-old by Southern Hemisphere's reckoning. So it's a bit of a discrepancy there. And interesting fact.
Interesting and very ambiguous as well. Like, why can't you just record a birthday when they were born?
They were born, yeah. Very good point. Yeah, I mean, that'd be like everyone celebrating their birthdays on the same day, Us humans, that'd be a bit weird. It'd be everything would be booked out.
Yeah, well, we could even do a public holiday for us, so at least everyone gets a day off.
Yeah,
it could actually be a half-decent idea. Maybe they do that in communist countries, who knows? But you know what? To be honest with you, that's not a fun fact, Sam. That's a frustrating fact.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't pencil that in as a frustrating fact, but it's interesting though. We'll take it. Now, Terry, tell us a bit about the breeding of Black Caviar. We want to know a bit more about that, please.
Yeah, no worries. Breeding. So obviously that's to do with the sex between a male and a female to procreate. But of course, Black Caviar, let's be serious here. She was born in Gilgay Farm in Nagambie, Victoria. So that's where she actually recorded most of her wins, and she obviously felt like she was at home, recording 19 of her 25 victories in Victoria. So you know what? No place like home, is there? Blackie, or should we say Cabo? That's not a racist slur or anything. It's just, I mean, that's her name, and Aussies love putting a bit of a nickname in regards to someone's name. Anyway, from there, she was actually sent to Swettenham Stud in December 2007 for preparation to be sold. Trainer Peter Moody actually purchased her for $210,000 on behalf of 8 other owners.
Wow, jeez.
So that's a lot of money if you think about it. And you know what? Look, I'm not into the nitty-gritty of horse training or horse breeding or, even horse ownership. But to part ways with a fair bit of money, and yes, you're divvying it up between 8 people. So, all right, yeah, you're looking at maybe just over 20 grand each, but still, to part ways with 20 grand for what could be a potential dud. And then also, I'm guessing Peter Moody's trainers' fees aren't low at all.
Yeah,
they'd be sky high. So not only are you parting ways with, say, 25, 30 grand, whatever it is, you also got those ongoing costs as well. So, yes, one site now,
what an investment
have made a killing, nearly $1 million each, but from the get-go and from the outset, you'd be like, geez, I'm parting a fair bit of money. Hopefully this turns out. And, more often than not, your horse probably, I wouldn't say it's a dud, but it just doesn't perform to how you want it to. So, gamble responsibly. And, of course, best responsibly.
Yeah, that's right.
So she was sired by Belle Esprit, a successful racehorse, and her dam was Helsingi or Helsinge. I think it's Helsingi.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
An unraced horse. So that's interesting. So just a quick little tidbit for all the stoners out there that aren't too familiar with the horsing terminology, because I'm not. A sire means father. So the sire was Belle Esprit.
Yep.
And the dam means mother. So Helsingi was the dam in this situation. So, God damn it.
And geez, very interesting. Like you said, Terry, that the mother wasn't even a racehorse. Like, it was an unraced horse. So yeah, how do you like, just spend 210,000 on a horse that has a mother that has never raced? Yeah,
cost? But obviously, you've got Peter Moody, he's a trainer. Obviously, he's proven, got a track record, reputable. He's a household name in the horse industry. So you think, if he wants to buy that, well, you know what? I'll back him in.
Yeah.
And if he stuffs up, well, give him a clip on the ears, I reckon.
Yeah, I think these kind of people that get involved with these syndicates, they're probably pretty regularly investing in these things, and they've probably got a bit of cash to burn. So I guess, if you get 1 out of 10, then you're happy with that.
Laughing.
Yeah, and it obviously paid off for them in this instance, Terry. So can't complain if you're an owner.
Just quickly, Sam,
yes,
before we get into some of those famous races there, just to let the stoners know, this is usually our attire in the studio, where we try and keep it classy and sophisticated with ties and buttoned-up shirts.
That's right.
So, if you're thinking that we're dressing too formal for the occasion, well, this is just everyday work attire.
Yeah.
We're classying it up for a pretty classy horse.
That's it. Famous races you mentioned, Terry. We did mention earlier on that Black Caviar had one international race. Now, this international race was very famous and probably, the single one. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of logistics involved with getting the horse overseas, so could be a factor. But in 2012, they did it, and they took Black Caviar over to the Royal Ascot.
Yes, they did,
which is in England, Terry. So. For those that don't know, the Royal Ascot is a very famous horse racing track over there in the UK, and it's where a lot of obviously champions are born and money is made or lost in the track there, and it's probably the most I would say most famous track in Europe, at least, if not possibly the world. So big track there, and of course, why wouldn't you take the champion horse that was Black Caviar at the time?
I'm not sure anymore, but I think the Queen used to be in attendance every time that there was a Diamond Jubilee Stakes at the Royal Ascot.
Possibly.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, we have to sort of check our sources there. We're not going to say it's true or wasn't true, but, don't put Royal in front of Ascot if there's no royalty there. Otherwise, it's full of shit. It's like calling Prince Harry. I mean, I thought he's abdicated now from the royal family. He should just be Harry.
Hazza.
As dog. Megzo.
Yeah, so in June of 2012, she was sent over there, and this was for a Diamond Jubilee Stakes. So it was a 30-hour flight from Australia to the UK, and on that flight, she wore a specially designed compression suit, Terry, which helped with blood circulation. So, she was getting the treatment. That's for sure.
I know what they feel like wearing those compression suits. I mean, sometimes I wear some skins in a cold night at footy training.
Yep.
They really get those legs warm, and of course, they're good for your muscles and that sort of stuff. So, for her to be in a compression suit for 30 hours, and I've done that trek from Australia to the United Kingdom in a flight. It didn't take 30 hours, but I guess if you're adding up all the layovers, it was definitely pretty close to it. And, when a horse actually can't speak English and you're trying to tell it or trying to calm it down and make it comfortable, how do you communicate that you're actually going to another country, another continent, another hemisphere?
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. But so obviously, they probably wanted to test her out with the best in the world. Maybe a few people were given a bit of grief, saying that, Black Caviar, good horse in Australia, but wouldn't match up with the international horses. But hey, they flew her over there, and on that day, it was a rain softened turf, so probably suited the conditions for Black Caviar, and of course she went ahead and won the Diamond Jubilee Stakes. by a head. So it wasn't a massive margin. And the second place came in the French horse, Moonlight Cloud. So very close.
It was close, and even third was only a neck away.
Yeah, that's it. So I mean,
they've got big necks.
I guess you got to give Black Caviar a bit of credit, traveling and then still winning. Obviously, it was a tight one, and I think Black Caviar is usually winning by fair margins. But on this occasion, she still won, and during the race, Nolan, the jockey there, he sent
Luke Nolan.
Yeah, Luke Nolan, yeah, Noli, as I call him.
Nolo.
He sent Black Caviar past Frankie Dettori, who was on the other horse.
Soul?
Soul, that was the one. On the inside of the quarter mile. But after establishing a clear lead, he began to ease Black Caviar. So this was a bit of controversy during the race.
This is the thing, Sam. This is why it's probably one of the most famous races out of her 25. Not only she's going there overseas, and to prove all the doubters wrong.
Yep.
Yes, she won by a head and only a neck away from third, but it was the way she won, because at one point here she actually had a very clear lead, as you just said.
Yep.
But then, what you're about to tell me, well, things change. And this is what makes it a famous and historic victory, where it could have actually ended in disaster.
Yeah. So, Lukey Nolan, he just, got a decent lead there. And I think, probably just too used to getting ahead, and from there just letting Black Caviar do her thing. I don't even think usually he gives her any bit of a whip, like even towards the end of the race. I think most of her races she was already home, so there was no need for it. And in this instance, he probably thought it's the same thing. She's ahead, she's going to power on here. But from out of nowhere sort of thing, it was almost it was a very close call, and Black Caviar nearly got done. So Moonlight Cloud moved up on the inside and actually drew level with Black Caviar towards the end of the race. And luckily, Luke Nolan saw saw Moonlight Cloud pulling up next to him, and gave her a bit more. And Black Caviar just gave it a bit more in the final strides and got it over the line. Now, geez, that would have been pretty scary on board Black Caviar, because I think there's a bit of expectation from Australia and everyone in the world saying this is the best horse going around, so hey, he should have got the job done. He did in the end, but geez, it was pretty scary.
Probably would have copped a bit of a spray afterwards as well. I would say, from the trainer Peter Moody and some of the owners. I mean, chucking her into cruise control. I mean, let's not get too complacent here. Yeah, we've won a fair few races up until this point, and you've won by a fair few lengths. But you're going there, and you know what? It would have been better to prove the doubters wrong if it won by a few lengths, which it could have. However, Luke Nolan, Nolo, put the cruise control on, and he just thought, we're going to comfortably get home to victory. Nearly wasn't the case with Moonlight Crowd there. And I guess for the neutral, watching it would have been such an entertaining, enthralling race. And I would have loved to have seen Bruce McAvaney watch that race, just the cam on him, because I've seen him with some reactions with Winks races, and he's just there like a little schoolboy about to get a deck of Pokemon cards. So he gets all pretty excited, and I love that passion in any sport, and that's the beauty about Australia and Australians, is that we love our sport. And so those final strides, Black Caviar got in there, and away we go. And Nolan, he was obviously interviewed after the race there, Sam, and what was he saying?
He admitted that he was a bit complacent and was a bit overconfident, I guess, in the horse. And he actually said, it was an error. And every apprentice jockey gets taught not to do what he did, which is sort of become complacent in the last few meters. And he got away with it on the day. And probably if it was on board a different horse, he might not have got away with it, I don't think. But I guess with the quality that was sort of running down the straight there with him, I don't think he had too many issues getting her over the line in the end. Now, interesting as well, after the race, they did an X-ray on Black Caviar and found out that she sustained an 8-centimeter muscle tear.
Oh wow!
So interesting.
80 mil, by the way.
No, yes, that's So it was just obviously not what you want, and probably could have been caused by maybe the that scary part towards the end, and maybe he kicked her in the side a bit too much, and she just tried a bit too hard and tore a bit of muscle. But yeah, so interesting fact, she came away with a win and also a bit of a muscle tear.
Yeah, so I guess, she walked away with a win, and that's the most important thing. Of course, would have loved to have done that without that 8 centimeter or 80 millimeter muscle tear.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, she had a nice ride home, and of course, in those compression tights, I'm sure she would have got a good feed of some nice horse carrots, and of course, a few massages and a couple of jabs of maybe cortisone, and yeah, away she goes for the next few races. But so that was probably one of 2 of her famous races. I'm guessing. The second one, it's a bit predictable now, but it's going to be the record-breaking win.
Yep.
So on the 13th of April, Sam, 2013.
Yes.
So this here was basically 4 days before her retirement. So after she broke that record, she retired. So on the 13th of April, Black Caviar won the 2013 TJ Smith Stakes.
Yep.
It was the mare's 25th consecutive win, and also the 15th, this is the most important one, the 15th Group 1 win. Breaking the Australian record for the most Group 1 wins by a horse.
Oh, there you go.
Phenomenal.
Right.
And they're all consecutive too, because she didn't do anything other than come first. And I've said that many times in this podcast, and I just want to really drill it into you. So the record was previously held by Kingston Town with 14. So she broke that with 15. So good on her.
Yeah. Very good effort. Broke that and then just hung up the horseshoes, I guess.
Yeah, she definitely did.
Yeah.
The retirement, Sam. So she retired 4 days after. What else she do in their retirement?
So she was retired from racing, as every horse has to be, and shortly after there was actually a life-sized bronze statue by a sculptor by the name of Mitch Mitchell. Interesting name there.
Mitch's parents is honestly like, I have no bloody idea. What do you want him to get paid out at school or something?
Yeah, Big Mitcho.
Maybe a good sculptor, but
yeah,
I don't get much for the name.
This bronze.
Mike Mitchell.
It could be, yeah. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. So the bronze statue was unveiled in the township of Nagambie, which is of course where she grew up and was raised, and a bit of something back to the community there, and maybe with the money they won, they could have made it out of gold instead of bronze, but whatever, that's all right. So now she's actually being used, of course, as most successful racehorses are. She's been used to breed, and in the early morning hours of on the 13th of September 2014, she gave birth to her first foal, which was a bay filly, which is a young female. Named Ocentra. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you are the pronunciation expert.
Yeah, sorry.
Ocentra.
Yeah. And then she continued to have a few more young there, and on the 23rd of September 2015, she gave birth to the second foal, which was a colt, which is a young male horse for those that don't know.
Thank you.
And the name of that colt was Sebring. Now, interesting as well, Terry, to note that a colt and a filly, and they're different names to what a full adult-sized or adult horse is, which is interesting. I guess it's like a boy turning into a man in human equivalent, maybe. I don't know, something like that.
Sometimes boys don't turn into men, so
yeah, true, good point. And then. On the 18th of September 2016, she gave birth to her third foal, which is a filly named Snitzel. Good name. I want a Snitzel.
Yeah. Actually, you a beef or chicken type of snitty got?
Chicken for sure for me.
Palmy or not?
Not often. I'll take one every now and then, but what about yourself?
And it's palmy, not palmer, okay?
100%.
Nice.
Yes, on the 22nd of September 2017, she gave birth to a fourth foal, which was another filly named More Than Ready. So hopefully she was more than ready and got a few wins there. But
after the fourth one, she was more than ready to keep breeding.
Yeah, well, I guess they would have made – we don't have the figures here. I think some of it remains a bit private, but the figures that they would have got for these, these young – horses, that would have been pretty astronomical, and absolutely. I think would have added to the tally of funds received from that initial investment, which was pretty good.
That's the beauty about it, Sam, isn't it? That not only can you have a successful horse that makes you millions on the track, but then also once she's finished from the track, she can keep popping out, or even if the male can keep injecting, I guess, and keep making you millions on and off the track. So
I think they with the males they sell the semen.
Wow.
And that's how they make a lot of money afterwards, and probably you can make a lot more out of the male, I guess, because I'm assuming he would be able to produce a fair bit.
And, exactly.
Especially being a horse.
Exactly.
So now Terry, famous quotes. Of course, there had to be some famous quotes along the way. So why don't you share a few with the listeners here?
Yeah, so we're just about to wind down here the podcast on Black Caviar today, and thanks again once for listening. But I'm going to go through 3 famous quotes, and Sam is going to give a bit of a little comment after I've done all 3, and hopefully it gives you a bit of a shiver tingle down your spine if you can sort of remember the days where Black Caviar would do nothing but win. And maybe you've made a few thousand or a few million off her. So good on you. Maybe sponsor the podcast if you like.
Oh, yeah.
So Pam Hawkes, which is one of the co-owner, she said watching Black Caviar run was like watching something happening, something unfolding in slow motion.
Yeah, right.
So you can just imagine all the good things that happen. It's like slow motion. It's poetry in motion. And that's what Black Caviar was seen in the eyes of Pam Hawkes, the co-owner.
Yep.
We've got Greg Miles, who is a Melbourne race caller, or is a Melbourne race caller. He said that Black Caviar had no competition in Australia. The best that she's raced against, she's hammered. So the best that Australia could produce, she destroyed.
Easy, yep.
So there was nothing here in Australia that could beat her. I don't know any horse in the world that would have touched her at the short course, because of course, and no pun intended with all the courses there, but she was a short course racer. She was a sprinter. According to Greg Miles, this is pre-Royal Ascot. No one could touch her in Australia. And guess what? She went over there, she made the trek, and no one could touch her there either.
Exactly.
I mean, they gave her a little bit of a kiss on the shoulder, but got past with a head length, and sometimes that's enough. And then last but not least, Peter Moody, that reputable, popular horse trainer, and he was Black Caviar's trainer as well. He said, the year I went to Melbourne Premier Sales, when I saw Black Caviar, I instantly fell in love with her. She just had a presence about her, an action about her. Every time she took a stride, every part of her body moves. It's like walking down the beach and seeing curtains or seeing certain parts of someone's anatomy wriggle or that. And you just can't help yourself. You've got to turn around and have a look. I didn't have a client in mind, but I quickly got on the phone and rang a couple. So it wasn't the owners getting together saying, hey, Peter, look for a horse. It was Peter that just found someone or found a horse so striking, he just thought it's a waste not for to leave this stone left unturned. Pun intended. Because we leave no stone left unturned. And Peter Moody, you've done the exact same thing. So you've got the Turning Stones endorsement. So that's some fitting quotes there, and I really enjoyed Peter Moody's. He fell in love with her. She had a presence about her. Every time she took a stride, every part of her body moves. It's like walking down the beach and seeing certain parts of someone's anatomy wriggle or that.
Like a perv.
Yeah, Peter. Bit of a perv there, Pete. Take it easy. Maybe he was in a bit of a mood, Peter Moody. But yeah, thoughts on that, Sam? Before we
spot on. And I think Peter Moody deserves a nice juicy cut of those winnings, and he would have got a decent amount, I would say, because if it wasn't for him picking it up, someone else might have. Or might not have. So he did well, and obviously, I remember watching a few Black Caviar races, and you could just see that there's no way that nothing came close, like all the famous callers have said, and obviously still goes down in history as one of the best. Obviously, Winks we mentioned before as well. Obviously topped that consecutive wins tally, which could be an opening for a potential another podcast. Maybe we can talk about Winks, but of course, like we said, Black Caviar, one of the best, Terry, and I can't see why we wouldn't have her still in the record books in 20 years, 50 years, I don't know. So it's a pretty decent, some records that have been set there. especially considering she had not been anywhere but first. So that's one of the big ones.
I guess the only thing that's left for her to do is maybe shed some of her meat, and we can make some mortadella out of it. Imagine black caviar mortadella.
Ooh,
that'd be go for a fair bit of kilo, probably more than like a gourmet prosciutto. But guys, that's it for today. Thank you very much, Sam. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Some good quality ear candy, and of course some eye candy too now on YouTube. So make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Turnstones Pod, and just look up Turning Stones Podcast on YouTube and give us a subscribe. And of course, we've still got some Turning Stones mugs. Make sure you get around them.
Giddy up.
Bye.